Boy, it's been a while since we've said that, huh? And good evening to everyone.
Good evening, Father.
What's that game that you play? Maybe you still play it in the summertime around here. You take them out, you hit a ball, and you hit it through one of those little loops, a wicket. What is it? Croquet, yes. Not to be confused with the things that we eat, chicken croquettes, right? Which is something different. Okay. So there were missionaries in the Philippines one time. They were playing this game of croquet. And they were using their mallets and hitting the ball through the little wicket. And some natives wandered on by, and they were very intrigued by this strange game that they had never before seen. So they were watching and watching and watching, and one of the missionaries invited the natives to come a little bit closer and participate in the game. So they explained the nature of the game, how you take the mallet and the little ball and you hit it, and you try to get it through the little loop, the little wicket, and you know, if you're really good, maybe you can knock your opponent's ball off the court and stuff like that. And the natives were intrigued by this, but a funny thing happened. The natives, when they started to play this game, they wouldn't dare hit anybody else's ball off the court. As a matter of fact, when one of the natives got the ball through the little loop, through the wicket, they ran and they with great joy told their other, I guess, opponents, but compatriots, how to do it correctly. And they were so excited to share these little helpful tips. And the missionaries were kind of wondering. They said, no. You don't do it that way. The objective is you have to win. You're not going to win by helping others. But these natives said, this is incomprehensible. They couldn't imagine not helping others because they were a hunting and a gardening tribe, and they survived by helping one another. Now, isn't that kind of the nature of the church? We survive by helping one another. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's divinely proportioned that this particular gospel reading on this particular day happens to fall on this last Gospel Sunday, happens to fall right before the descent of the Holy Spirit next week, Pentecost Sunday, because it's all about helping one another and sticking together as a church. And this Sunday, by happy divine coincidence, and there are no coincidences with God, is dedicated to the fathers of the first ecumenical council, where everybody had to come and stick together. Now let me explain how that was and why. Now you've heard of ecumenical councils before, right? In fact, there was one even within most of our lifetimes. But the very first one goes back to the year 325, a long time ago. And it was a time when there were incorrect teachings in a very serious manner taught about Jesus, among other things. But there was one very incorrect teaching promulgated by a deacon. No offense to our good deacons here, but by a deacon by the name of Arius. And Arius was taught that Jesus was God, but he was not co-eternal with God. He wasn't existing from the very beginning, so he really wasn't of the same kind of nature of God. And that was a huge problem, because it changed our whole understanding of the Holy Trinity, among other things. So all of the church fathers gathered in a place in Nicaea to discuss and resolve how they could rectify these and some other incorrect teachings. So that was the very first Nicene Council. So I think there were like 1,500 people in attendance, about 300 bishops, deacons, the priests, some assistants, and some scholars all came, and they met in the summer of the year 325 for about 2 or 3 or more months to try to resolve this. And they did resolve it. You know how they resolved it? And we have the consequence of that right in front of you. I was going to say about 5 inches from Deacon Charles. He's got the book in his hand. And look at the green books. It's the Creed, the Nicene Creed, which we're going to sing in a little while. That was the product of this particular council, that they established that Jesus was co-eternal with the Father and equal to the Father, and we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now, how does that relate to us in our lives today? Well, first of all, it corrects an error conflict that needs to be resolved? Or does everything just go swimmingly and smoothly in life? So how did the church fathers resolve these conflicts? As a matter of fact, I'll tell you how bad the conflict was. Anybody know who this guy is over here? St. Nicholas, that's exactly right. Now, legend tells us that St. Nicholas, because he was a bishop, he was also at the council, and legend tells us that St. Nicholas, was not just, this nice guy that gave gifts to people. He was very passionate about his faith. So, I don't know how true this is, but legend, and it survived for almost 2,000 years, 1800 years, legend tells us that St. Nicholas became so fed up with the nonsense and the heresy that Arius was teaching about Jesus not being divine from the very beginning with the Father. You know what he did? He went over and belted him one. Oh, please, Baba says. But that's, this was not exactly a nice gathering where everybody got along all the time and resolved this very quickly. There were some rough spots, and I mention that because maybe in our own life we have such rough spots. I don't know if you want to deck anybody sometimes, Baba, but maybe sometimes in our heart we feel that way. Or maybe we feel that we're the ones, given the backhand by maybe even somebody we care about and somebody we love. And sometimes arguments, especially among family and co-workers and friends, and conflicts among the same are the most devastating of all. And sometimes unanswered prayers are the most confusing of all. But the point is this. Among all of those things, we look to the fathers of the First Nicene Council as an example, because you know what they did throughout all of this? They prayed. And they talked. And they prayed and they dialogued. And they prayed and they trusted. And they prayed again and again and again. And we have a resolution of a conflict with the Holy Spirit working among these men of diverse backgrounds. And that's the lesson we take away from this particular feast day home for each one of us. If we ever stop praying and trying and trusting, we really and truly deny the power of the Holy Spirit. If we ever get ourselves to a point in a frame of mind where we say, I have done that, I've prayed, I don't feel like trying anymore. My goodness gracious, what would the fathers of the Nicene Council have done if they were in that state of mind? They would have denied the power of the Holy Spirit. We, in a sense, kind of do the same thing when we say, I've said everything I'm going to say, I thought everything I was going to think, I prayed everything I'm going to pray, I can't do it anymore, I've asked God, He said no. We keep praying, we keep trying, we keep trusting. That's the power of the Holy Spirit at work in our minds, in our hearts, in ourselves, and in those around us, and that's how things get done. We don't know what's in the mind of God, but yet we give God what's in our heart. And we keep trusting, and we keep praying, and we keep trying. And that's the lesson we learn from the fathers of the First Nicene Council right before Pentecost Sunday, because the Holy Spirit Himself works in our minds, through our lips, and in our heart. And if we stop speaking, stop trusting, stop thinking and praying and asking God, we've kind of shut the Holy Spirit down. If we want answers to questions, resolutions to conflict, we want peace in the world and peace in our own family, we keep trying, we keep trusting, we keep praying, because God, who knows the mind and the heart of all, works through our hearts and in our lips. Glory to Jesus Christ. Glory to Christ. Slava Iisus Christus.